Shwmai a croeso cynnes. Welcome to What's Your Story. I'm James Owen, a Welsh filmmaker and storyteller, and I'm passionate about sharing stories. This podcast is all about business owners sharing their journey. We'll be speaking with directors, entrepreneurs, and creatives from all across Wales to learn from their experiences. We believe everyone has a story to tell. What's your story? Shwmai a croeso cynnes, welcome back to What's Your Story. And for me, as a Llanelli boy, quite proud to highlight and showcase those who have come from my own town. And today I've got a very exciting guest, somebody that I went to school with, played rugby with, and this person has had tremendous success in the space in theatre and musical theatre. Today's guest is an actor. He's a performer. He is the Llanelli West End superstar who has played several roles in the West End. I'm very excited to welcome Samuel Wyn Morris.
And John, Siwmai Hwyl.
Siwmai Hwyl.
And I'm showing you there that we went to school together.
We did.
Way back when in Ysgol Ystraden, yna fe.
So the listeners of Story Cymru are thinking, who the hell is John?
James Henry John Owen, yna fe? Did I get that right?
That is good. Yeah.
And if I remember rightly, you had a number plate.
I did have a number plate.
Up. And therefore, we had to call you Hen John. And you've been known as Hen John ever since. Maybe not to Amy. Sorry, Amy.
Well, that's good. No, yeah, you've revealed my my secret identity.
Well, it's not quite Batman, is it?
It's not Batman, no.
You're doing all right.
As long my BC days, that's what I call it.
I like that. Okay.
Before Christ.
Yeah.
Yes, Hen John. We were in school together. We had good times. We've already reminisced, haven't we, off the camera about stuff we got up to at school. It was good fun. It was good being young, wasn't it?
Oh, yeah, I miss it. I do miss it. Even though I've kept the looks, you know.
But we're all adults and serious now, Sam.
I try to be. I think I've chosen the right profession, that I'm allowed to be a little bit more like a child and approach things like a child. You know, I get to play dress up every night, James, and I still get to get away with a lot more than I probably should.
Absolutely. So for those listening and watching, I mean, we've had lots of business owners, directors, entrepreneurs. It's a very different episode today because you're a creative. I mean, I'm a creative at heart, but yeah, I wanted to have the opportunity to have a conversation because I think you're doing amazing things. So for those watching, what does a typical week look like for a West End superstar? What are you up to?
Well, it's challenging. You know, it's one of those things that I think a lot of people that come and watch theatre take for granted, that they're watching a show that's happening in front of them, and that's lovely. But we have to look after ourselves in the same way as a footballer or a rugby player would. And that's the way I've always approached it, that, you know, every single night, what you're doing is as important as a Welsh match or a match for the Scarlets. So I'll wake up in the morning, good breakfast, make sure I have a walk, keep active during the day. I always do the panic voice check, which normally includes a siren or saying something really loudly or really quietly. And then I'll end up going to work, and I almost live my day in reverse. So I do my relaxing in the day. I go to work at about 6 o'clock at night. I'll work then till 10 doing the show. And then by the time I'm home, it's time to go back to sleep, you know. And I do that 6 nights a week, 8 shows a week. Then there's two matinees normally in a week. But it's a go, and it's fast, and it's quick, and it's fun in that sense that it never actually ends. The fun of it and the joy of it and the creativity of it. I know you said you've had entrepreneurs and all those types of people on, you know, local businessmen and people who have...
And women.
That's very true. But these people are people who are also creating every day because they have to see the challenge that's ahead of them. And come up with a creative way of dealing with it in order to sustain their business, to sustain what they're trying to do and what their end goal is. For me, it's singing a show for 3 hours. For them, it's managing a multi-million-pound company or managing a local charity that really does provide fantastic work for young people or anyone in distress in Llanelli or the surrounding area. So the way that we approach the week is very similar. The end goal is very different. I'm aware I'm not saving lives, but it's important work. It's important work that I take very seriously, and I do treat it in that way.
Fantastic. And yeah, important highlight there, entrepreneurs. are creative.
Yes.
They're problem solvers, and they solve problems and commercially, make a living out of it. But we're all in it creative, I think, at heart, all of us as people. But yeah, entrepreneurs are very creative people. But you're creative in a very different way in musical theatre. You're an actor performing at the highest level in musical theatre. So that's your day job. And it's interesting how you do it in reverse. Did you, when you were 15, 16, youth captain of Furness United, RFC, did you think that, when I grow up, I want to be on the West End? Was it as early in your teens that you had this goal?
It's quite strange that we're doing this together, because you were probably there for quite a lot of the seminal moments of my performing life. And if anyone who's watching this who's never seen, one of your podcasts before, or doesn't know me, I started singing very late, as you said. I played rugby, I played football, cricket, golf. I was sports mad. We played together for 8 years probably. Through the youth levels and through junior rugby as well. And then one day I remember walking down the corridors in Ysgol Ystrada, and you remember they weren't soundproofed. It's the fairly old building, that original Block R.
Still there, I think.
It's still there, yeah. And you'd walk down Block R and I could hear someone singing a bit of Les Mis. I thought, hey, come on now, if anyone can do this, I can give it a go. Being the character I was back then, I was a little bit cockier than I am assured of myself now, shall we say.
Who was singing Les Mis?
Well, yeah, who was singing Les Mis? I went in there and I just did it. And I remember Catherine Hughes and Nia Griffith, the music teacher and the drama teacher at the time, just saying,
Daniel's
right,
wife.
Yeah, you two, you're in. Oh, you're in. And the other chap as well, who is now a singer as well, Oshan Bowen.
Oh, Oshan Bowen. Wow.
Yeah, so we both went and did it. And I kind of never looked back. He's gone off and done the World of Opera and is doing fantastically in that. Another local boy just down the road in Bury Port, obviously. And I myself went into musical theatre. And from that day on, when I first realised I could do it, I thought, this is quite a cool way to live. And I wonder if I can earn a living from it as well.
You must have been about, 14, 15?
I was older than that. I was 16, 17. Yeah, at 17 when I first...
Sixth form?
Yes, first year 6. Chweched when I first stepped onto a stage, ever. And within a year, much to the dismay of my parents, I applied for one drama school, which was Guildford School of Acting at the time. And the one place I wanted to go to was there. And thought, what a good idea to try and make it a career. And I somehow, and I think it's through a lot of luck, it's kind of worked out that way. But at the time, it was the ignorance of youth, and there was a blissful ignorance in me that I thought, well, I don't see why I can't go and do Les Mis, and I can't go and do Phantom and do all these fantastic things. And on top of that, I'm reading in the local newspaper in the Llanelli Star that John Owen Jones is a young boy from Llanelli who is, well, you won't like me saying this, 20 years my senior, who's also doing this and doing the things that I think and would love to do myself now. And that, to me, I think is one of those weird kind of sliding doors moments that I went, okay, step into the dark, go out there, give it a go, and see what happens from it. And yeah, it's worked out thus far.
I'll come on to John Owen Jones now, because I think there's a good link we can discuss that as creatives from Llanelli. Did you get a place to study in Guildford? Were you successful in that?
Yeah, got a place in that. Spent 3 years at Guildford training, and it was training. You're up at 8 o'clock in the morning. No one wants to hear this. You're allowed to bleep this out if you have to. Ballet trousers on, or ballet tights they were. Not a very good look for a boy who's played rugby all his life to be in that. And I'm not very well coordinated. So the 3 years of training was very hard. And it taught me a lot about myself, that I was way too cocky to begin with. You start off in your training, and someone who'd only done it for a year, and their experience of doing it was a couple of shows in the local theatre. And everyone else had pretty much gone through junior theatre school, middle theatre school, and had an interest from a young age in doing this as a career. And then you've got myself, who thought one day it will be a good laugh, because what else am I going to do with my life? And this seems fun, and a fun way to see the world. So I got my place, did my 3 years there, graduated in 2017. So it's, 10 years next year since I graduated and stepped into the industry. And then beyond that, I hit my first hurdle. I graduated with stage fright through kind of an array of different things. I think drama school is a place that obviously trains you very well, and GSA is superb at what they do. But there is a pressure on students, not from the school, but from themselves. And I put a lot of pressure on myself, given the town's storied history with musical theatre and performers, and you put yourself out there quite a lot. So graduating into an industry that is as cutthroat as it gets was tough. And I spent 2 years after graduating. I did all sorts of jobs. I worked behind a bar and a golf club because it meant I got free golf. That was number one, because golf's a big part of my life.
Perk.
Yeah, great perk. Then they stopped that, so I left. The free golf, not the bar. Thank God the beer kept flowing. And then I went on from there to work. I worked for an Italian cheese and wine importer. Terrible at that, because I ate all the cheese and drank all the wine, and sometimes vice versa. And I got caught with a big old tub of Parmesan under my desk, which I just could not stop stuffing into my face.
Did you get sacked from that?
Oh, yeah, he made redundant entirely. Yeah, I did 6 weeks there. And he was a lovely guy. He did sack me, but it wouldn't melt in my mouth, James. And he sat me down and he went, I don't think this is for you. And I said, do you know what? We'll call him Mr. Giuseppe. We'll give him a stereotypical Italian name, right? I don't think it's for me either, if I'm honest with you. And then I did a little bit of a sideways step, and I went to work for two guys who'd won MasterChef, Drew Baker and Tom Whittaker. And they'd set up a charcuterie company, which making dried meats and fantastic stuff, using British produce. So it was a British charcuterie company. I went in there, firstly, as kind of a sales guy. They taught me the ropes on a bit of butchery and ignited my passion in cooking. I do a lot of cooking when I'm at home. If anybody does follow me on Instagram, you'll see that all I ever do is take a picture of my food and post it, because I'm quite proud of the things I cook. And working for people who had just set up a company, who are kind of in the mire of, okay, we've got money through grants and through investors. What on earth do we do now with it? And how do we make this a profitable company that has got, a marketplace and a place that can command a certain respect within an industry and earn that respect as well at the same time, was inspiring. And I put a lot down to those two guys and my mate Baz, who I'm still in touch with. Without Baz, I wouldn't have got the job in the golf club, wouldn't have got the job with the Italian cheese and wine importer, Mr. Giuseppe, and nor would I have got the job with Drew and Tom at Tempur's Charcuterie at the time. These things would never have happened. And each of those steps kind of moulded me into becoming a young man who was slightly more applicable to life, because I think drama school is quite insular. You go from sixth form to university and then you get thrown out into the real world. A lot of university courses have a graduate path where you can go and do something within that field. A lot of friends of mine, one of them went to do chartered surveying at university, 4 years there. You're then given a scheme that you can go and join your local authority, your county councils and what have you. Whereas myself, you're thrown out into the industry. And, I remember when I auditioned for Les Mis, when I eventually got it, which is a couple of steps ahead of what I got to earlier on, there were 7,000 people who were submitted, and you can guarantee there's another 13,000 people on top of that who would have loved to have been considered. And then they would have seen 600, and they can only cast 32 out of that. So the numbers are astronomical, and you're up against people of your own age, who are 10 years older than you, who've done a million jobs, and you've never done anything but, slice a couple of bits of cheese and work in a charcuterie shop, which isn't necessarily the best training for the industry. But what Tom and Drew taught me was go out there and sell your wares as a person, and that's the start, really. And that is where I kind of regained my confidence. From there, and I went on, and I remember telling them both, because they were both very, very good to me with my performing. they both said, hey, if you need a day off to go and audition, you can have one. And we'll cover the costs and all that type of stuff. Don't worry about it. It'll be off our back. And they did, and I got Les Mis after that point. So they really helped me through it.
Very supportive.
Yeah, very, very supportive. And then getting Les Mis and kind of having found my confidence back through performing locally here in Llanelli with Loud Applause Rising Stars, a fantastic local charity. It reignited that passion. And Les Mis then was the beginning and how can I say? It was the realization of a dream that I'd worked hard for since I was 16 years old. When I've got the most supportive family in the world, most supportive parents in the world who would do anything to see me succeed. But there comes a point in every, young person's life where they're on their own a bit. And, your mum can't come in the audition room and go, yes, promise, he's really lovely. He's great, man. You should hear him sing in the shower,
I can imagine Adele say that.
Yeah, absolutely. And she would as well, God's alive. I think she gave the teachers in the School of Acting enough of a headache, trying to get me the first team and all that. I said, it doesn't work like that, Mum. It doesn't work like that. I've just got to play better. Just not that good. But there comes a point where you meet certain people along your way and along your journey that just plug those gaps in you as a person and mould you as a person. And it worked out. I did Les Mis for 3 months and then the big COVID-19 hit. So we were shut. So I'd had that euphoric moment of realising my dream of being in Les Mis. And before this we had a chat and I told you I'd do anything. I'd drive the barricade on. Was my old line. I'd do anything to be in it. And I did it. I covered Honduras and I covered Jean Valjean, the role that I'd coveted since I was 16 years old. And it was a dream, a complete dream. COVID happened and yeah, that was that. It was put in the back burner for a bit. But that journey to get there was quite something, from starting out in a School of Acting in those corridors to GSA, the hardest 3 years of my performing life, other than the few I've had in unemployment or gardening leave, as my grandmother likes to call it. She can't quite say that I'm unemployed ever, but I definitely was. And then plugging those gaps with those 3 kind of real people jobs that I had. And not kind of
normal jobs.
Yeah, normal jobs. Or as
my McGee would say.
Yeah, as I do sometimes get asked at stage door. Oh, so what do you do in the day then? What's your real job? How do you make your money? What did you pay a ticket for? And so yeah, and then we get to COVID and it all kind of stops and goes a bit wrong. But that's okay because it got better. And then after COVID, coming back into Les Mis. And that was an extraordinary thing. I sang the first line in the show when the West End reopened for the first time after COVID. I was the first voice they heard, the first solo voice they heard was me singing "The sun is strong, it's hot as hell below," which was the first line in Les Mis, which was a really cool moment and probably one that only I ever realised. And it was quite something, and an emotional release as well, because we all went through COVID, and it was one heck of a time for us all. The anxiety of whether or not it was going to happen again, especially with what you guys do. You're working with people face to face all the time. With what I do, you're working in a building that holds 2,000 people. They couldn't be that close together anymore. And from there, we moved on to reigniting the show. The show started up again, and my life changed again when I was thrown on last minute as Honduras, as the cover role, who's the leader of the revolution in the show. The chap playing Honduras at the time, lovely boy Jordan Shaw, who's about to be in Pride, the Welsh musical. The film Pride, fantastic film about the LGBTQ community in London coming down to support the miners in the valleys. I just think it's one of those proper stories that make Welsh people the best people, because we are accepting and we are inviting and we are wonderfully open to that thing. Jordan, fantastic guy, and Leo, who was the first cover, was a good friend of mine. Even to this day, they were both off through COVID restrictions, through illness, and I got the call at like 9 a.m. Sam, can you do it? Yeah. Well, I've waited, by this point, 3 years to go on for my cover. I went on, I did it, and I said I kind of get lucky at the right time. Claude Michel Schomburg and Alan Boubille, the writers of Les Mis, were there that day in the audience. And I had Bradley Jaden, who is still Javert now on the world tour and was Javert at the time, when he come up behind me and goes, "You all right, mate? Yeah, have a look who's in the audience. You'll be all right." Gave me a little tap on the bum and walked off. And I thought, what's he talking about? And I saw them. So the whole show then I'm going, oh, God alive. Here we go. We've got, the two most prolific musical theatre writers ever. They've written this masterpiece. It went off without a thing. It was fantastic. I thoroughly enjoyed my debut, which I think a lot of people don't. But I enjoyed it. I loved every second of it. And I can still remember every second of it, like every smell, every scent of what was going on. The following show, Cameron McIntosh was in watching. A week and a half later, I was playing the role on the UK tour in my own right. And I did that for 18 months, which culminated in me getting to play it. My final performance as Angelas, and my final performance to date, I hope, on the Welsh Millennium Centre stage in Cardiff. So a real full circle moment that started in Ysgol Ystrada and ended 70 miles east of here in Cardiff, where a dream started and a dream was conceptualised and then the dream was realised when we got to Cardiff and I got to play Angelas. And then the downfall happened and you go through that, awful 2.5 year gap of going, what on earth am I going to do next? I did a couple of pantomimes, which was short runs. I did a tour China where I met my fantastic fiancée, and whenever this goes out might be my wife. It was a whirlwind and an experience. I went into teaching as a cover teacher and I did workshops and tried to just sell my wares where I could. Again, going back to my mate Baz, who got me those 2 jobs and just said, whatever you do, boy, just keep working. Just find your way to do something. And now, here I am as the Phantom of the Opera.
As the
on
Phantom
the international
of the
tour.
Opera.
Yeah.
So, Les Misérables, Phantom of the Opera, 2 of probably the most famous musicals that have Les Mis, I believe, is the longest ever running
Les
production.
Mis is the longest running musical, and Phantom is 366 days younger than it. So Les Mis opened on October the 8th, 1985, and Phantom opened on October the 9th, 1986. So they are the 2 longest West End running musicals. I think Phantom's the world's most popular musical just because of its broad appeal. But yeah, I've been a part of both of those shows. I mean, I say, yeah, of course I have. Everyone gets that opportunity. But yeah, I've been a part of both of them, and I'm not just a part of this one now. It's weird to say, and I hate saying it every time. No, I'm the Phantom now in international production of the Phantom of the Opera, which is the same production that was opened on the West End stage in 1986 and directed by Hal Prince. There's 3 of us in the English-speaking world that play the Phantom in this version. There's the West End Phantom, Dean Chisnell. There's Isaiah Bailey on the US tour, and then there's me on the international tour. And we're the 3 people who are doing that original Hal Prince, who was a fantastic theatre director way back in the 70s and 80s. And we're those 3 people. I'm one of them. And that's so weird to me that I am now one of those people who gets to, put on a silly bit of makeup, put a mask on and get to call it my job.
Very humbling.
Yes. Yeah, completely. Stupid. And I know you know me long enough to know that it is all just bravado, a lot of what I tend to give off. But yeah, there's moments where I kind of have to look at myself in the mirror and go, how on earth did we get here? And then, as you know, there's moments where you go, is this really what I need to be doing? Is this who I am? What on earth is this? And the imposter syndrome starts. But, no one can ever take it away from you that you've done all these things in your life. And yeah, I'm not quite 30 yet, so I've done all right. I'm hoping my
behind me.
Yeah, I'm hoping my 30s are better than my 20s, but it's going to be quite hard to top so far.
Yeah, incredible. There's just so much there, and I want to touch on quite a bit of it. And Llanelli, as a town, is the birthplace of so many successful creatives, especially those who perform in musical theatre, actors, actresses. We've got quite a few of them, and you, to play John Valjean on Jarras, big lead roles in Les Mis and now The Phantom. I seen this a couple of weeks ago, Sam. I was just scrolling on Facebook. I think it was your mother's Facebook story. And John Owen Jones, who's from Bury Port, I believe, isn't he?
Yes, yeah.
From Bury Port.
For the purposes of marketing, we say we're all from Llanelli.
You're all from Llanelli. It's all one big town.
Yes,
Bury Port, they're like, no, well, it's technically their own town.
It's
their own another town.
Look, don't upset them now, right? Don't upset them, please.
The worst is when you ask somebody from Pembrey, are they from Bury Port or Pembrey? Because Pembrey's his own thing as well.
They might be from Kidwelly.
But John Owen Jones, he was being interviewed in like a press conference or a panel of some sort, and he was talking about you. And I was like, John Owen Jones talking about Sam. And he was watching one of your performances in the international tour. And this was in China, was it?
Yeah. So we were performing in Guangzhou, and John had been over there for, I think he did a 5 or 6 week concert run over there, touring the whole country. And they just so happened to be in the town next door. I say the town next door, it's 100 miles away, but it's the town next door in China, because China is massive, right? and I get a text off him, and he said, "Oh, can I come and watch?" I say, "Of course you can come and watch. Yeah, absolutely." And I mean, no word of a lie to you, but it was the single most scary moment of my life. Standing on that stage in the garb of the Phantom, and you got the mask on, and you're about to sing an iconic line, and, not to beat around the bush about it, but your hero, for want of a better word, is sat in the audience watching you play the role that you watched him play, and made you want to play that role, and made you believe it was possible to play that role.
Because he's from Llanelli?
Well, because he's from Llanelli. And look, I think a lot gets said about our town, and a lot gets said about Wales, but it is central to who I am, Llanelli. And it always has been, it always will be. And people will say, "Where are you from?" And a lot of people say, "Oh, I'm from Llanelli," but they'll say, "I'm from Swansea," or just west of Swansea. But no, I'm from Llanelli, and I'm proud of it, and I'll always be proud to be from here. I think we put into our people here, or we're born with it almost genetically. There is a humbleness to us. We've got a certain way of going about life that allows us to see the good in everyone, regardless of what might go on in the world or what might go on even in the town. We look for the good in everyone, and I think the people of Llanelli are among some of the best for that. And moving through life, I found that the best people have always been from, Southwest Wales, regardless. But the foundations that Llanelli give you as a person, and what this town, despite its, recent history, and it's looking a bit withered, it's home, and I think we should always treat it as such. And if we take pride in Llanelli will take pride in us, or at least that's my hope anyway. And I try my best wherever I go to champion Llanelli. It's the first line in my programme. It's not Samuel Morris trained at Guildford School of Acting. Samuel Morris is known to play the Phantom, or known to have done this in Les Mis or that. It's Samuel Morris was born in Llanelli, South Wales, and is a fluent Welsh speaker. And I think that is the first line, almost word for word exact. I'm proud i fod yn siarad Cymraeg, iaith gyntaf, and I'm more than proud than to be from this fantastic town. Even though I live up the M4 now, 180 miles away in London, home is home. And yeah, Llanelli has got a very large bit of my heart, and I'm not going to get into another Calon speech like I used to in the dressing rooms, right, when we were playing youth rugby together. But you're going back to John, having that level of person come from this town. I mean, the guy has done it all. He's done Valjean on Broadway, he's done Phantom in the West End, more than anyone else, I think, in the West End. It's quite remarkable what he's done as a person. And then we are just following in his footsteps and hoping to better them. I mean, he won't mind me saying that. But also hoping to emulate it, and knowing that he laid down that foundation on that path for us. as performers from Llanelli. I mean, Samantha Thomas, another Sam. We have two Sams from Llanelli, both trained at Guildford as well. She's also on the West End. She's done Wicked and Les Mis and a lot of other shows. And she was over there at the same time, so she got to see me play the Phantom as well, which was another fantastic experience. I think that's always been key to who I am, and it's one of the reasons why I'm so close to the charity Loud Applause Rising Stars, is that very thing of anytime I'm home, I try to give back to youngsters, because I remember being the 16, 17-year-old boy who picked it up within 3 months of wanting to do it and wanting to sing, and then not knowing which way to turn or who to trust on advice. So if I can give back, I do. And I think Llanelli as a whole is a hotbed for talent, and long may it continue.
Amen.
Absolutely, amen.
I seen Kenneth this week.
Oh, how is he?
And do you know what? I should have told him. I should have told him you were coming.
Don't tell him I'm home.
Right.
We'll have another 45-minute conversation from him. Kenneth, stop calling me. I'm joking. Please call me.
Oh, fantastic. So it all looks fantastic and rosy. You've got all these successes at performing at the highest level in your industry. Have there been some mistakes or some flops along the way? Have you had some mic issues or forget your lines?
Oh, hey, look, yeah, every single night something goes wrong. But the what sustains you kind of to do these long running? You do 8 shows a week for a year.
That's intense
for a year. And you get your holidays, it's our slavery. And we get paid, thankfully. Which a lot of people don't know. It still weirds me out.
What do you do here? What's your day job?
Yeah, what do you do for a real job then? What do you mean what I do for a real job? Look, my grandmother wishes I had a real job sometimes. But no. Oh, God, yeah. Like, so many mishaps. And times I've gone into an audition room and, I auditioned 3 times for Les Mis. The first 2 times I went in there's a top note that I could not sing, partly through my stage fright, partly...
What song?
It was the end of the ABC Cafe. And it's, they will come and all, they will come when we call. And it's not a particularly high note for a tenor, but it's in an awkward part of my voice and you've got to give it power at the same time. And I just wasn't right for it at that time. And the last time I auditioned for it, that audition that I went in the first time and I had to sing that line, I nailed it. And once I had that in my body and the confidence, we were in, fine. And then for X amount of shows after that, we were there and we were doing it, and obviously I got the job from it. But mishaps, the mask's fallen off. I've stood on the mask in Phantom when the mask shouldn't have been off. I've stood on the Christine's dress, or she wears this kind of dressing gown thing when I'm singing Music of the Night to her, and she's fallen. I've fallen. I've cut my fingers on the organ because they spray it with fireproofing because we got candles and things like that on the stage, and I got blood all over a white wedding dress that she wears at the end of the show. My lips fallen off I've got a prosthetic on. And there's this little lip part here, and it's just started dangling. So you end up, you breathe in every other line, and it's just that continually over the mic. So many things go wrong, and they're the trivial things. But then the other side of it is the senior stuff that goes wrong, whereby you don't get a job for God knows how long. I think I was out of work. Other than a couple of pantos I did, which was 8 weeks work out of 104, do it in the field I wanted to be in. That was tough, like really, really tough.
Because with Les Mis, you must have hit like cloud 9. Obviously, there was COVID in the midst of that.
But I did
you've ticked off
for 4
your dream.
years.
You've hit your goal, and then 2 years of no work.
And the wonderful thing is in any other industry, when you hit that kind of run, there's a gig after it for you, or you get headhunted, or you go and do something else. But
you did Les Mis. Let's book him for this.
Yeah, or but if I was doing any office job, you get your promotion, and there is a ceiling to that. But in our industry, it's very much, one day you're the cock of the walk, the next you're the feather duster, and that is it. That is how our industry works. And
what gets you through those tough times when there's no work?
Family, I've been there wondering how I'm going to pay my bills at the end of the month, as so many people are. I still do, even as the Phantom. Abby, my partner, who is an absolute rock and a rock star at that. I mean, she's quite literally changed my life in more than many ways. She's given me perspective on things that I never thought I'd have perspective on. She's made me a person that I knew I was, but didn't know how to be. And I know you've probably experienced that as well. I think any man who's found his, future wife, or his wife in your case now, you get that emotional backing from someone who just gets you for you. And the moment someone accepts you for you and who you are, it changes the game. And along my way, through my performing life, from the two lads I worked with at Tempest, Tom and Drew, to Baz, to
Giuseppe,
to just Mr. Giuseppe, Mr. Please, James, come on, give him the respect he deserves.
who caught you with the cheese?
Yeah, who caught me with the cheese. And my family, they're the people who know you, and you're thrown into a world of people who don't know you. And the moment you get that insulation of, we know who you are, you know who you are, go out there and be you, because you is enough. Awful English grammar there, but you know what I mean. It just changes everything. It changes everything. So yeah, I mean, Abs has got me through it, and there'll be times in her performing career where she'll go through it as well, and I'll have to be that, and I'll have to be just that. And then when she hits the high life, and I'm on my proverbial backside again, I'll have to be as supportive of her as she was for me, and that's the give and take. And that's the tough thing about this industry, is we are so insular as creatives, we are so self-critical. We're also very selfish, because we want it, because there's one job. You can't have 3 Valjeans in London. There's one Valjean in London, because there's only one show that's commercially viable to be Valjean in London. So you've got a cast of characters looking and vying for one thing. So it's tough. But that's the name of the game, and it's an absolute joy to get to wake up every morning, and I count my lucky stars, and I thank my lucky stars that I was fortunate enough to be a part of the industry I'm a part of, and to do what I do for a living. And yeah, there are people out there with far worse situations and scenarios that they have to wake up to every morning and face, and they do so with great strength and humility. It's a reality check. It's a reality check. So what gets you through it is the reality check and someone keeping your feet on the ground. And in my case, that's Abby. Without her, I probably wouldn't. I wouldn't be the person I am, and I certainly wouldn't be where I am in my career without it. I know you know what? 10 years ago, you never heard that from me. I can promise you that much for sure. And because we knew each other.
And when are you getting married?
Well, we have set a date, but we haven't sent the save the dates out yet, because that might reveal the wedding guest.
Okay,
we'll just say 2027.
2027.
Looking forward to it.
This podcast is definitely going out before 2027.
I should hope so, I should hope so.
Yeah, fantastic. So, what's next for you, do you think? Or what would be nice in your hit list or your bucket list in terms of performance? Because I've sort of learned that there's different productions. Obviously, touring in the Phantom of the Opera. So you've got a London and a international. What's the word? A brigade, a cast.
Cast. Yeah, cast.
Yeah, there's another word I'm thinking
production of. Is the right word for it. We've got. There's 3 versions of the show happening at the minute, which is similar to the Hal Prince original production that's in London. They're not all identical, because that would be boring. Otherwise, we would be creatives. There's things I do that Dean in London does do, and vice versa. And it's the fun of it. We all get to put our own stamp on the character. But it was tough for me, and I remember listening to an interview of John Owen Jones way back when. He said, well, by the time I was 30, I'd done the 3 things I wanted to do, and I think it was work with Stephen Sondheim, work at the National, and play Valjean. And I always said, I want to be in Les Mis.
Just be in it.
Be in it. I'd have driven the barricade on, James.
Like you said.
It wouldn't have bothered me. I'd have driven the barricade on. I'd have done anything. It was my singular dream to be in that show, and I achieved that. Then it was to play a lead in the show, which I did with Enjolras, and it was a fantastic experience. And my other one was to play the Phantom, and I'm now doing that, and will continue to do so.
Is Jean Valjean not the lead?
Oh no, he is. Yeah, good.
Yeah.
I mean,
you played 2 leads in Les Mis.
Well, I covered Valjean, but I never got to play him. So I've never had the experience of going out there and performing, bring him home as Valjean, other than in a rehearsal. So maybe that's in my future. But I was chatting with my father this week about what exactly I'd like to do next. But I'm in one of those situations now where I'm doing what I'm loving. And when I did Les Mis, I don't think I realised how fortunate I was. Because you don't, because you're 24, 5 and 6 when I was playing Honduras. And I was just thinking, yeah, this is obviously what I'm doing. You know, who else is going to do it if not me? Well, it turns out there's a lot of
queue.
Yeah, it's a big old queue. You know, it's like check at number 4, please. That's when you're at the meat, you're in the meat bloody counter. There's a big queue, and the world keeps going round, and there's a new cycle of performers all the time. And what I'm currently trying to do, and what I've learnt to do, and what I teach now when I do teach, is enjoy the moment you're in, because they don't last in our industry. But when you get that opportunity, run with it. And I'm enjoying the run so much. I've got a fantastic cast I work with. Grace, who plays Christine, Rory, who plays Raoul, who are the 2 other lead characters in Phantom, who are the trio. And then we've got another batch of leads as well, who are all fantastic. They've earned their stripes, and they are, because of my age, I was quite worried about going in and playing such a big iconic role. They are the most caring and creative people I've ever had the pleasure of working with. But they're also the most committed and the most understanding of what it is to be in a top production, doing what we do and what we love doing. And it's that responsibility. It's the fun of it, man. It's so much fun.
Good. It's good you have fun and you get paid to have fun.
Absolutely.
That's what I feel like most days.
Yeah, of course. And so you should. And what you're doing with Story Company is beyond brilliant. And it's a Llanelli-based company that is offering people something different and something that I think is needed, you know, especially from Llanelli. Yeah, we're always proud of you, Jim. You know, Llanelli boy, you know. So I'll be proud of it.
I just want to, because I think we brushed over this earlier with Les Mis, just for people to understand the figures and the probability. Honduras, right? You auditioned for that. You got a third time?
So no, I auditioned for. So the way it works is a submission goes out.
This is the London West End.
Yes, this is the London West End company.
Company. That's the word I was looking for.
Sorry. Yeah. That I should have really known that. There is a casting call that goes out for members of the cast for Les Mis. You then get submitted by your agent, or by yourself if you're not represented by an agent. I was represented by an agent at the time, who submitted me, who was fantastic and worked brilliantly with me. I'm now with a different agent who's, you know, equally as brilliant. Thank
you, agent.
And each of them have kind of helped me along my way, you know, that little stepping stone, and guiding me to the right places in order for me to achieve and realise what I wanted to do. But the casting call goes out, and it goes out to, I think, there's a casting directory called Spotlight, which we pay monthly into, or annually. I pay monthly because I can't bear to think of having to part with 250 quid in one go. Please bring that price down, by the way. I'm looking you down the camera now. And there is a big equity thing going on with that, so I won't go in any further with it. But that goes out to however many people are signed up to it. And I would hazard a guess it's well over 50,000 people, if not nearing 100,000 people, who are all actors who are on this. Therefore, they're all able to be submitted for the show. And I think the submissions for Les Mis, the year I went in for it, was around 7,000 people were submitted. So that's, you know, applications they would have received. Then it's the casting team.
That's for the whole production.
That's for the whole production, you know,
for the whole production,
which is still an astronomical amount of people. Then the casting team will whittle that down to, I don't know, let's say ballpark figure of 500 people. For each character and each role, there'll be, you know, 100 or 50 people in they'll see for each track in the show. There's, as in different characters and different parts in the show. And then from there, they've got to whittle it down further to...
That's for auditions, physical auditions?
No. So anyone who gets whittled down to that 500 will be seen. So they will see 500 people. It's crazy, the work they put in. And I've got a friend who's been involved in that side of things. And, you know, he will go a month without sleep because that's what they have to do. And they've got to cast the show by a certain date so they can get all the contracts sorted, ready for the next cycle of cast that's coming in. And before you know it, they're on the lookout for the next lot as well, a year later. And I ended up being one of 500 that is then whittled down to, how many people in Les Mis? 32 people in the cast. It was quite a small cast. So out of 7,000 submissions, you get 500 people auditioned and seen for the show. And right at the end, you get 32 cast members. And that's the odds you're up against. It's hard. And I can promise you it's luck. There's only so much you can do. And there's only so many people they can see. And there's so many people out there that I know who are unbelievably good at what we do and what they do. I say we do, but what they do as creatives and as performers and as singers, but just hasn't fallen their way that time. And you have to say that. You and anytime I don't get a job, instead of, you can wallow on it, because if you don't get a job, you don't get paid. There's no fallback. We are freelancers as actors. We are paid for the duration of our contract, and then that's it. If you're lucky enough to be renewed, you'll stay with the show. If you're not, you're not. Or if you want to leave, you can leave, because creatively you want to go and do something else. It's quite something. Yeah, it is really quite something.
Hell of an achievement. 32 out of that.
Yeah, I mean, that's ballpark figures. I don't know if it was 30. I'm knowing me, it'll be 105.
They might message us now and
correct yeah, they'll correct that. But it's it was an achievement. It was an achievement. But by no means does it make anyone special by getting it or not getting it. There are a myriad of factors that go into it, and there are 1,000 other factors beyond that go into it as well. And next year might be your year, as I proved. I auditioned for it, and eventually got it. Was I better the third time? Yes, because I knew what to expect.
Hit that note?
And yeah, I hit the note, but also I was more grown up, and I kind of was ready for the industry, and the industry was ready for me at that time. And there are times when it's not, and there are times when it's are. And that's the way it is. Yeah.
So we got to hear a little bit about your story, and I'd love to know, because we ask all the guests on What's Your Story, whose story would you love to hear, Sam? If you could sit down for an hour and chat to someone over a beer, a coffee, and interview somebody, whose story would you love to hear?
No, do you know, you've asked me this. You asked me this before, but kind of, I'm trying to link something between Llanelli and the wider world. I think the wider world, it would be Bill Shankly, massive Liverpool fan. Massive Liverpool fan. And I think Shankly is one of the greats of football. End of sports. And I'd love to have a chat with him, because I think he's as passionate about where, he managed a football club as anyone else. And then I think locally to Llanelli, it would be someone like Carwyn James.
Carwyn James?
Because what you've got there is you've got someone who, and it's the same as we got with Jurgen Klopp with Liverpool, and it's the same as what we got with Bill Shankly. Bill Shankly in Liverpool. Someone who gets the local area and gets the local people. Good, honest, hardworking, real people. I call them, I'd say real people. Like Donald Trump there. I say real people as if no one else says that. Real people. People who know where they're from, who are proud of where they're from, and can link intrinsically to that. And I think our rugby club, Llanelli RFC turned into the Scarlets, down in Parc Ystrad, there was nothing quite like it. There was a brand, and it was the Llanelli way to play rugby, and it's the same with Liverpool. There's a Liverpool way to play football. So for me it will be Bill Shankly, slightly more locally, Carwyn James.
In fact, I don't know if you've been in the changing rooms at Parc Scarlet, have you?
I have, I think.
Yeah, I've been there a few times, and as a sponsor of the Scarlet, there is a playback device box thing in the corner of the changing rooms, and we had a tour there with the Chamber of Trade a few months ago, and essentially you can pick a button. There's like 3 or 4 different tracks, and there's a speaker there, and it plays back an audio track in the changing rooms. And one of them is Phil Bennett.
Yes, legend. The late
so you've
great.
got him cheering on the team. It's his soundbite from the changing rooms back years and years ago. And another one of them is Carwyn James. So the players who play for the Scarlets.
I'd love to know what that quote is.
Yeah, I'll have to dig them out for you.
Because there's a great one, and he's And it came up in a clip the other day on like BBC Archive or something like that on the phone. And he's going, "Fight, boys. Rugby is a mental game. It's a mental game." And I keep thinking, yes, but how close is that to life? Life is a mental game. Put yourself in the right frame of mind and you can do anything. You've proven it with Story Cymru. You wanted to do a production company and you've done it. I wanted to be in Les Mis and in Phantom and, earn a living somehow through musical theatre, and I went and did it. So yeah, rugby is a mental game. Carwyn James, boys back.
Boys back. What a fantastic quote. Just as we close then, is there anything that, you've had that experience of John Owen Jones in the audience watching you perform? If you were sitting in the audience looking at the next Sam Morris performing on stage, what would you say to an aspiring young performer, especially one who's maybe in Llanelli now, maybe studying at School of Strade, they're in drama school, they're in a stage school in Llanelli, after hours. What might you say to a young person who wants to perform at the highest level and they feel like, I'm from Llanelli, I don't know if I can do that? What may you say to that young person?
Stop your nonsense, for to start with. If you're from Llanelli, that only stands you in good stead. Secondly, emulate, don't replicate. You are yourself. There can't be another John Owen Jones. There can't be another Samuel Wyn Morris. But there can be a, Di Davis, who's 13 years old, who wants to play the Phantom, and he's in a School of Strade at the minute. And you can always emulate. I still haven't quite realised the achievement of playing the Phantom, and I think I never will. It's so astronomically large to me. And I tried for a long time to replicate John Owen Jones, Ramin Karimloo, Michael Crawford, Con Wilkinson, the greats of the musical theatre world, singing the shows that I really want to sing. And I quickly learned that no, what I need to do is find Sam, who Sam is, and then to emulate that and not replicate it, because Dai Bach in Blwyddyn Wyth yn Ystrade who wants to go on to do musical theatre is far more special than Sam Wyn Morris will ever be, and he's far more valuable if he's not trying to be someone that he isn't while doing that very thing that he wants to do.
Important advice, because I think that sometimes when you idolise or you look up to somebody and a role model, I want to be like him, but you're so right. Emulate, not replicate.
Absolutely.
Yeah, because we're all different, we're all unique, and we've all got skills and talents we can bring and showcase ourselves. So the more we are ourselves, possibly the more opportunity we'll get.
That's proven right in my case.
And Les Misérables was one of my mother's favourite musicals. My mother loved musical theatre, and I'm gutted. I know you were working, but at my mother's funeral, Bring Him Home, one of her favourite songs. It was her favourite song.
Oh, I remember you messaged me saying it, and obviously Sian, a fantastic woman. I had support of her weirdly on the rugby pitch. When she was watching you and I run about in shorts and on Cai Castell in Furness. Cai Castell in Furness, and of course in later life when I went on to try my best at performing. And I can't begin to tell you how proud I'm sure she is of you and how valuable it is to have people like that have been a part of my life and others.
Diolch, but Bring Him Home, it'll always be a special song now, hearing that, even more so with her gone. But to see that you've sung that on the West End is very special, because she was chuffed for you when I told her that you are in Les Mis. Is incredible. But to see someone in Llanelli performing and have performed, and it's incredible.
Oh, fantastic.
So, da iawn I ti. If those listening and watching want to know more about you, maybe there's a casting agent watching this, wants to book you, Sam. How do they get in touch?
Instagram, social medias. I try my best to stay off certain sites. There's a couple in particular, given the events the last few years. But no, I'm mainly now found through Instagram. Pop me a message. My email, I think, is on there as well, much for my sins, because you do get a lot of junk through it. But no, pop me a message. If not, I think there's also a link to my agent on there. I mean, this is really, really, really cocky way to end an interview. But yes, please hire me. I'm employed at the minute, but there'll come a time where I might need help. Thank you.
Please help him pay for his wedding.
Yes. God's alive, yes. Oh, tad. Why ruin a good thing?
Why ruin a good thing?
Oh, the price tag. Money off.
Diolch Sam, diolch am dod. Gwerthfawrogi'r amser yma heddi. Really appreciate you. Coming all the way from London to talk to our audience today. Diolch I ti.
Diolch yn fawr.
Thanks for listening to What's Your Story. If you enjoy this conversation, I would encourage you to subscribe on your favourite podcast platform, whether that's Spotify, YouTube, Apple Music, and the rest, because we don't want you to miss out on future episodes. Sharing these stories really helps us reach more people. And if you know someone in Wales or beyond with a great story to tell, let us know, because we believe everyone has a story. Diolch am gwrando. Thank you for listening. We will see you in the next episode.